I gotta say, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? It's another day called Monday. Here on Inside the Zone, Linkage Radio, 104.5 FM, 101.7 FM. How are you? How was your weekend? What did you do? Who did you see? What mischief did you get yourself into? I know you all weren't all that good. A lot of you got yourselves into stuff, didn't you? But I'm here to help you unwind and, well, I can't say I'm going to take you through the forgiveness piece of it. I don't have that. But if you are absolutely sure that you are good today, then pinch yourself. Pinch yourself and say, yes, I'm still here. I have a lot to accomplish in my lifetime, and nobody's going to take it away from me. Do you think you could do that for me? I hope you can. Welcome to the show. It is called Inside the Zone. I'm your host, Lady D. The show started on June 5 in 2008, and it has been a journey. A journey I would take all over again, might I add. I would do it all over again with you. Welcome to the show. You're just joining Linkage Radio for the very first time. Hello to you. We bring you the best in roots, rock, reggae, R&B, disco, gospel, calypso, and a host of other selections aired right here on your budding and buzzing station. Hello to my seniors out there. You went to the Senior Center today. You have been having great weather. Hello Hello to all those who you're struggling to send your children to school, but yes, they went to school. To those of us who have challenges, but we're working our way through them, may I get a hand raised if you're not having some kind of challenge? If you are not, then perhaps you need to be out there spreading the good news. But if you are experiencing challenges in your life, then raise your hand. And while you're raising your hand, someone will come along to bless you. I was blessed today. How about you? Someone came by and blessed me today. And I hope you're blessing someone. Whatever you do, if it's a kind word, it's a very simple gesture, whatever you do, just say thank you, and that's good enough. Want to say hello to all those who went for a job interview today. Something wonderful happened for you today. And if you are just in that moment of gratitude like I am and not afraid to say it, then say thank you, okay? It's a thank you afternoon. 14 minutes after 5 o'clock, welcome to you. We are going to be here until 7 p.m., you and I, meaning we, and we are going to be talking Black History Month this month. Who is your favorite Black History icon? What about it that makes Black History Month so special and gets us also energized to the point where we can't stop talking about whether it's a skin color or intellect or resilient spirit, something that makes us unique in Black History Month. And I have a lot to do this afternoon. 15 minutes after 5 o'clock, Chris Wilby will be joining me at 6 p.m., but I'm going to be introducing in the segment this afternoon what we have coming up for Black History Month. Wherever you are, I'm here with you inside the zone, brought to you by Ferguson Wright LLC, improving financial health one client at a time, reliable and accurate, and can take your financial health to the next level. Donna Ferguson Wright, 732-734-1829, tax preparation, bookkeeping, and a whole lot more. Taxes are coming up. Have you started to put your stuff together yet? You need help with your bookkeeping? Give Donna Ferguson Wright a call, 732-734-1829. 1829, the Monday Beat coming up in seconds. Voices, of course, comes to you at 5:40 p.m. and keeping you in the know, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It is Monday. I'm alive. So much to be thankful for. Let's get it started, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for some music? Tell me how come you're not ready for music. You're ready for music, aren't you? Here we go.
If it wasn't for Rastafari, I and I would have no strength to survive. Hey, let us take a look around, see what's going down. Yo, tell me how come here in Jamaica so many people still have fight Rasta? Tell me how come down a East West them never chat in him and but them chat sizzler. Tell me how come people are support a street no people of the Prime Minister. Tell me how come those in power don't seem to care. It's cause life is so unfair. In this sweet paradise, this is what we swear. Out of many one people, can you see that anywhere? Everyone treated equal, and this is why so many die, leaving so many to cry. Tell me how come there's so much guns in the streets and none of them gun they never make ya. Tell me how come AIDS is spreading wild, taking over this sweet paradise of Jamaica. Tell me how come the dollar value's going down and everything's going up around town. Tell me how come Google had to get gunned down. Life is so unfair. In this sweet paradise, this is what we swear. Out of many one people, can you see that anywhere? Everyone treated equal, and this is why so many die, leaving so many to cry. Tell me how come the youth pressure like the youth them uptown. Tell me how come Jack you died at jail and the prosecutor know he's innocent and shouldn't be there. Tell me how come so much hungry belly out the street and Babylon not one like say them not see it. Tell me how come people see it and not speak, 'cause life is so unfair. In this sweet paradise, this is what we swear. Out of many one people, can you see that anywhere? Everyone treated equal, and this is why so many die, leaving so many to cry. Life is so unfair. In this sweet paradise, this is what we swear. Out of many one people, can you see that anywhere? Everyone treated equal, and this is why so many die, leaving so many to cry.
To write about social issues that people care about. Nobody care about this. I am giving you an F, and I'm very sorry about it. Go and do it.
Well now, hey, whoa, well, the promised land, going to the promised land. Yes, the promised land. Oh gosh, now to the promised land. Well, make a step down to Asmara. Then we stopped in Addis Ababa. Made our way to Shashamani land, riding on the kids highway to the promised land. Going to the promised land. Oh gosh. To the promised land, oh, to the promised land. Well, there's plenty of land for you and I, by and by. Lots of food to share for everyone. No time for segregation in the promised land. Oh gosh, take me to the promised land. At the promised land, boy. At the promised land. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Said we're riding on the Keys Highway from Cairo to Kenya. Made a stop in Asmara. Then we made another one in Addis Ababa, the promised land. Over to the promised land. Oh gosh, save the promised land. Yeah, the promised land. Oh. Then I said to myself, give a thanks for the prophet God. For he gave me the teaching so I could see the reality of my true being. And David said, there's a lot of work to be done, oh gosh, in the promised land. Yeah, talking about the promised land. Yes, to the promised land. The promised land. Moving to the promised land. Oh, the promised land. Oh, the promised land. Yeah, the promised land. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh. Brother man, what are you doing for the promised land? Gotta take your stand and let the brightness keep on. Yeah, there's work to be done. No, you can't run. Got a job to be done, so gotta do it even a little by a little. Yes, the promised land. Going to the promised land. Say the promised land. Going to the promised land. Prophets of old said the west got to perish. Oh, don't let your hopes and aspirations come before you. No way, gotta go, gotta go.
Whoa, yeah. Oh, this is not a song, yeah. Oh, live your life, life too short. We are stressed the small things when we know God bless we with everything. Life too short. We are worried about bad mind when the world are suffer from war and crime. Life too short. Take it from that the sun just have to give Jah praises with the rising sun. Life too short. So make we live, we wanna live. Just make sure say we live it with Jah love, yeah. Hey, yeah. When we face the trials and tribulations in life, remember that Jah is always there. So in the midst of darkness there is light. Know everything we do, we have to put Jah before us with confidence and never ever think twice. Cause those that fight against I and I will never stop. That's why I'll never forget that life too short to be thinking about them and those that plot inside. Life too short to be taking on a heavy load. That's not mine. Life too short to be holding grudges and malices. Hey, life too short, and you only have one to live. So live your life, yeah. Jah give us life to live, yeah. And we always have to live with life full time. Jah give us life to live, yeah. And we always have to live with life full time. Me no fear where the wicked one say. Me no fear where the wicked one do, yeah. I'm free like a bird. Jah is my word. That mean my word is love. Now I know that there'll be times when I don't have the strength to fight. That's when I'm more than ever call on Jah, call on Jah. Oh yes, and then my strength to rise. So make the adversaries them come, make them behold the strength of Jah love. Forward and never look back, now no time to look back. There's works to be done, cause life too short to be thinking about them and those that plot inside. Life too short to be taking on a heavy load. That's not mine. Life too short to be holding grudges and malices. Hey, life too short. Oh yes, it's too short. Yeah. Cause this I know people try to get in your way. Oh yeah. But I will never let them get to me, no way. Yeah. They'll come and come again. Come and come again, yeah, yeah. But there's one thing I know. There's one thing I know. Ooh, that life's too short to be thinking about them lows that plot inside.
That's what I'm talking about. Graham Smallgun. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 28 minutes after 5 o'clock. And I just brought you musical selections by Morgan Heritage. Tell Me How Come, Dennis Brown, The Promised Land, and Graham Smallgun, Life Too Short. Got 2 minutes to go. I think I could do another one. I do. It's a Monday drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside here on Linkage Radio, 104.5 FM, 101.7. Call us here, 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. That's 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. I got one more for you, taking me into 5:30 p.m. in seconds.
Tell the world about it. And I'm going to tell the world to shout it. Going back to Africa, 'cause I'm black. Going back to Africa, and it's all fact. If it's alright, gonna get there. If it's alright, gonna stay there. 1999. I gotta get there, gotta tell her going back to Africa, 'cause I'm black. Going back to Africa, and it's all fact. I'm going, I'm leaving. I'm going, say that I'm going, and I'm going.
Yeah, you coming with me? Going back to Africa, Alton Ellis, wrapping it up with the Monday beat, chasing the Monday blues out of here. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the show, Inside the Zone, the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. Where are you tuning into the show from? Where are you? Are you in the Bronx? Are you in the United States? Let me not go down the borderline. Are you in the United States? Are you in Europe? Are you in where am I? Are you in the US? Are you in Europe? Are you in Africa? You're on the Asian continent somewhere, right? Hello to you. www.linkageradio.com. www.linkageradio.com. Don't forget, you can also log on to the Linkage Radio app, because we got an app, just in case you did not know we have an app. The Linkage Radio app. Download the app today. Tune in radio, Linkage Radio on Ustream. That's what I'm talking about. 5:31 p.m. It is the month of February, ladies and gentlemen, and you have been talking about Black History Month. And I wanted to, as a prelude to our discussion this evening at 6 p.m., in which we talk about headlines and all that, our primary feature will be focused on Black History Month. But there are some people who have been lauded over the years for their efforts in breaking ground for a lot of social reform and, rights and justice and all those things that they have advocated for. And while those people are to be lauded posthumously, because most of them are no longer alive, we have to also think of those who preceded them. There were people before who started certain things, and that allowed those who actually were instrumental in the actual execution of people becoming engaged, fighting for the rights and against injustice of people. There were people before that, people before that time, people before those people. And so I wanted to, as a prelude to what we're going to be talking about in our 6 to 7 o'clock hour, I would like to feature for you this evening two prominent persons. One who actually was an instigator in something, and the other one actually carried it out. But let me introduce you to my first Black history icon here on the show this evening. Because do you know the name Elizabeth Jennings? Yes, if you've not heard about Elizabeth Jennings, I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Jennings. And right after that, I'll be taking you to somebody else who you, of course, already know. But I want you to know a little bit about Elizabeth Jennings. She was born in March 1827. She died in on June 8, 1901. She was an African-American teacher and civil rights figure. In 1854, Graham insisted on her right to ride on an available New York City streetcar at a time when all such companies were private and most operated segregated cars. Her case was decided in her favor in 1855, and it led to the eventual desegregation of all New York City transit systems by 1865. So let me play a very short 3 minutes, 18 seconds clip for you. And then after that, I have another clip to introduce to you as well. Okay, so stay with me. Welcome to the show. It's a Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. Are you ready? I am.
There are some people who've been forgotten by history, like Elizabeth Jennings, one of the first African-American women to stand up to segregation and win the right to equal treatment, 100 years before the Civil Rights Movement. When a conductor throws Jennings off a horse-drawn omnibus, she pulls herself up and gets right back on.
I guess the conductor's turning around, maybe cleaning his hands off, saying, well, that's that. He turns around and she's on the bus, and he gets outraged.
Other riders are shocked when the conductor tells the driver not to stop until he comes to a policeman or police station.
So the policeman says, does anybody object to this woman being here? Nobody said a word. But the policeman was on the conductor's side, and he starts pushing her with his billy club and saying, look, you shouldn't be on this bus. Get off. Don't give us any lip. Don't say anything to anybody about this. And they push her off. They throw her off again in the middle of nowhere.
Elizabeth is furious and not about to let them get away with such an injustice. She goes straight to her father, Thomas Jennings, who is a well-respected and shrewd African-American businessman.
Her father, Thomas Jennings, invented what we would consider dry cleaning today. It was dry scouring. He was the first African-American to receive a patent in 1821.
Thomas Jennings is a prominent abolitionist at this time, as is Frederick Douglass, who publishes the story. The incident garners national attention, and there's a huge public outcry. The Jennings family doesn't stop there. Along with a group of leaders in the black community, they hire a young, unknown attorney, a 24-year-old man named Chester A. Arthur, to file a lawsuit. It's his very first case. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Chester A. Arthur went on to become the 21st president of the United States.
Just like Lizzie, he came from an abolitionist background. So Arthur did believe in the cause, and then they go to trial 6 months later.
In February of 1855, the case goes before New York State's highest trial court, where Jennings finds herself face to face with an all-male, all-white jury.
Was there a defining moment in this trial, like a real turning point where things turned in their favor?
Well, it's hard to say because there is no transcript of the trial that survived or that was taken.
It's probably a good reason why this story has been largely forgotten.
Absolutely, and I think part of it is nobody was paying attention because they didn't think she had any chance of winning. Like two sports teams where one is so overwhelmingly going to win, they say, why even bother keeping score? Well, it turns out they should have kept score.
Arthur, the politically gifted attorney and future president, delivers a convincing case. And remarkably, the verdict goes in Jennings' favor. Elizabeth is awarded $250, the equivalent of about $6,000 today. And the Third Avenue Railway Company is ordered to allow respectable black people to ride without discrimination.
All right, that is my first brief clip about Elizabeth Jennings. Now I'm going to take you to an actual interview that was conducted a few years ago. And she really expressed herself. She gave the history, so you'll be hearing from the, as we say, from the horse's mouth, okay, of Elizabeth Jennings herself. So let me take you to that interview that was done back in 2013. And interestingly, she was 73 at the time. And I want you to get some insight for yourself about who the other Rosa Parks, they call her, Elizabeth Jennings. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Black History Month. I'm featuring Elizabeth Jennings, and we'll be talking a little bit about Rosa Parks, but that discussion we will do during the 6 to 7 o'clock hour when we kick off, or keeping you in the know. Chris Wilby will be joining me at this time. Welcome to the show.
Now, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez.
Well, earlier this year, the nation marked the 100th anniversary of the birth of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on a city bus in Alabama to a white man in December 1955. Her act of resistance led to a 13-month boycott, the Montgomery bus boycott, led by a young minister named Martin Luther King. In Washington, D.C. last month, President Obama presided over a ceremony unveiling a statue of Rosa Parks in the U.S. Capitol.
Rosa Parks' singular act of disobedience launched a movement. The tired feet of those who walked the dusty roads of Montgomery helped a nation see that to which it had once been blind. It is because of these men and women that I stand here today. It is because of them that our children grow up in a land more free and more fair, a land truer to its founding creed.
While Rosa Parks became a national civil rights icon, she was not the first woman in Montgomery to refuse to give up her seat on a city bus. On March 2nd, 1955, 9 months before Rosa Parks' arrest, a teenage schoolgirl named Claudette Colvin boarded a city bus after school to head home. As it filled up, a white woman was left standing, and the bus driver ordered the 15-year-old Colvin to get up and move to the back. She refused and was dragged off the bus in handcuffs. 3 weeks later, the New York Times ran an article headlined, "Negro Girl Convicted. She is held guilty of refusing to move to the back of the bus."
Claudette Colvin went on to become the star witness in a case that wound its way to the Supreme Court. The court eventually ordered an end to bus segregation in Alabama. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made his political debut fighting her arrest. Claudette Colvin joins us here in our studio now, 73 years old, living in the Bronx. And we're joined by Jean Theoharis, author of The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks. Jean Theoharis is a professor of political science at Brooklyn College, has written extensively on the civil rights and Black Power movements, joined us in February on what would have been Rosa Parks' 100th birthday. Claudette Colvin, President Obama talked about Rosa Parks' singular act, but it wasn't exactly singular because you had done it before. 9 months before. She was 42. You were 15 years old. What gave you the courage that day? You were coming home from school?
Yes. What gave me the courage? All the unfair treatment that I had experienced in my early childhood. Plus, remember February, we celebrated Negro History Week, but our school did it for the whole month. So I had a whole month to talk about all the injustices.
Back in 55.
Back in 55, yes. So I tell him, we had an instructor, her name is Geraldine Nesby. She refused to teach English. She taught literature. And Mrs. Joseph Lawrence, my history teacher, she taught us about Africa. And we learned about, through current events, we learned about Africa. And so I began to think, about all of this and how unfair we was treated.
And when the bus driver called in the police, they accused you of resisting arrest as well as refusing to give up your seat. Could you talk about that when the police came in to haul you off the bus?
One of the questions asked, why didn't you get up when the bus driver asked you, and the policeman? I said I could not move because history had me glued to the seat. And they say, how is that? I say, because it felt like soldier on the truth, hands were pushing me down on one shoulder, and Harriet Tubman, hands were pushing me down on another shoulder. And I could not move. And I yelled out, it's my constitutional rights. Because I wasn't breaking the law under the state's law, separate but equal. I was sitting in the area that was reserved for black pensioners. At that time, we didn't even want to be called black because black had a negative connotation. We were called colors. So I was sitting in the color section. But because of Jim Crow law, the bus driver had police force. He could ask you to get up. And the problem was that the white woman that was standing near me, she wasn't an elderly white woman. She was a young white woman. She had a whole seat to sit down by opposite me in the opposite row, but she refused to sit down because of Jim Crow laws. A white person couldn't sit opposite a colored person. And a white person had to sit in front of you. The purpose was to make white people feel superior and colored people feel inferior.
And this is something you clearly understood at the age of 15.
Oh, sure, because I didn't have to prepare for it. I learned it at a very early age. My first encounter was in a general store when a little white boy and a little white kid about my age and his friends, relatives, came into the store and they were laughing about me. And the little boy to another little child said, hold up your hands, let me see, let me see. And I held up my hands to his hand. And my mother gave me a backhand slap on the forehead.
And the context of what was happening at the time in terms of the terror on the black community, there was a schoolmate of yours who was arrested for supposedly raping a white woman who was then later executed?
Yes, his name was Jeremiah Rees. They had him arrested, but he was tried for being a serial rapist of 6 white women during the summer.
So the police come March 2nd, 1955. You're refusing to get up. When they come on the bus, what do they do to you?
Well, they asked me to get up, and I refused. And one of the policemen was a traffic policeman. He at Court Square, and he yelled to the bus motorman that he had no jury in here, and he got off. So the bus driver moved the bus to Bilbin Commerce, and then 2 squad car policemen come on the bus, and I became more defiant. When they asked me the same question, and they yelled, "Gal, why are you sitting there?" I said, it's my constitutional right. I pay my fare, it's my constitutional rights. And he said constitutional rights, and then one kicked at me, and he knocked the books out of my hand, out of my lap. And then one grabbed one arm and one grabbed the other, and they manhandled me off the bus. And after I got in the squad car, they handcuffed through the window and took me to booking, and then not to a juvenile facility, but to an adult jail. And I stayed in jail approximately 3 hours until my pastor, Reverend H.H. Johnson, and my mother came and bailed me out.
Were you afraid?
No, I wasn't afraid. I was a teenager.
You were in the NAACP?
Not at that time. I wasn't in it. When I got arrested, I was in. E.D. Nixon is like our Al Sharpton, and I was introduced. He introduced Mrs. Sparks to my family, and that's how I learned about Mr. E.D. Nixon.
And he was president of the local NAACP, and she the secretary?
I don't know. I think he was in charge of the Pullman Porters.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. And
the reaction of your parents, your family, to your arrest?
They knew about how I felt, because Sister Joseph Lawrence was teaching us about Africa. I went to school with my hair in braids. And at that time, you had to do the best you could do with a hot comb and pomade. So I said, why put yourself through that trouble? So when I went to school, they said, "Oh, I was crazy, and that I would lose my boyfriend."
So this happened March 2nd, 1955. It would be 9 months before Rosa Parks would sit down on the bus and do exactly the same thing.
Yes.
That kicked off this kind of magic moment that kicks off the bus boycott. Why didn't that happen on March 2nd when you engaged in the same act?
I do not know. I wasn't. My parents wasn't involved in the MIA. I do not know.
The Montgomery Improvement Association.
Yes, I don't know. But they thought that I would not make a good test case. I know what was written in Taylor Branch's book, Part in the Waters, and what the attorneys had said, that later I became pregnant, but I was not pregnant the second. And Mary Louise Smith Ware, they said her father was a drunk, alcoholic, but Mary Louise Smith went to a private school, St. Jude. She graduated from St. Jude.
And she was? Who was she?
She was one of the plaintiffs. She was arrested in October.
Let's bring Jean Theo Harris into this conversation, who wrote the book this past year, The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks. Can you put Claudette Colvin's remarkably brave act, 10-year-old schoolgirl, into this larger political context? Why one action gets a lot of attention in Montgomery, but doesn't launch the boycott, and yet Rosa Parks does, and even the other young woman that Claudette Colvin was just talking about?
Right. So this is 1955. We're after the Brown decision. It's a new legal moment.
Explain the Brown.
Brown versus Board of Education. It's May 1954. The Supreme Court rules that school segregation is illegal, that separate cannot be equal. Shortly after that, Joanne Robinson, she's a professor at Alabama State College. She's also the head of the Women's Political Council, writes a letter to the company saying, if you don't change, we're going to boycott. So we are in a new moment in Montgomery. There had been people before 1954 that had resisted on the bus. There had been particularly more people in the decades since World War II. But 1954, we're in a new moment. The Women's Political Council had been organizing. The NAACP, E.D. Nixon and Rosa Parks in particular are the more activist part of the NAACP. They are growing frustrated with the continuing situation, both on the bus and then in schools in Montgomery. So then, March 1955, Colvin makes her historic act, and there is outrage in the community. I think there's no way to understand why people galvanize behind Parks without understanding Colvin's arrest and what what that does for many people in, so no, we do not see a movement. We do not see, that same kind of reaction, but had Colvin not made that stand, I don't think we would have necessarily seen what happened in December of that year. And then, midway through, like we were talking about, Mary Louise Smith makes a similar stand. Again, there is no movement around that. And then we get to December 1st, 1955.
So in effect, then, these earlier incidents sort of convinced Parks and Dixon that at the time was ripe to make a symbolic refusing the bus and to sit in the back of the bus and then start the boycott as a result of that new arrest.
Yes, and there are these meetings of civil rights leaders over the summer with the city around bus segregation. Promises are made. Interestingly, Rosa Parks refuses to attend those meetings. She's done. She says, I'm come to city officials with a paper in hand asking for my rights. But other civil rights leaders in the community do meet with bus officials. There are promises made. The city makes promises. Those promises are not kept. So many people, again, in December when Parks makes her stand, are also very aware that promises have been broken. And if you look at the leaflet that circulates, right, that calls for the one-day boycott, that leaflet very much locates Parks' stand in this broader history of Colvin's stand.
In fact, interestingly, the historian Douglas Brinkley has written that the delay between Claudette Colvin, our guest today, and Parks' arrest allowed Dr. Martin Luther King to emerge as a leader. He most likely would not have led the bus boycott if it had occurred in the spring after Claudette Colvin's arrest instead of the following winter. Brinkley writes, he might have ended up as just another Montgomery preacher. We're going to hear what King has to say after Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. In these last days of Women's History Month, we're joined by a woman who made history, Claudette Colvin. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour.
There you have it. Claudette Colvin was first to refuse giving seat on a Montgomery bus. She was only 15 years old at the time. And 9 months later, Rosa Parks decided that she's not going to get off the bus and they're going to have to drag me off. And we know how all of that out. Isn't it amazing? If we decide to stand up for something, we can stand up for something in a very credible way. We don't have to retaliate and lose our self-worth, dignity, character. We really don't have to. I'll always be peaceful. Just don't step in my space. Don't touch me, because we're reactive. We will react. We're reactionary beings. Somebody comes at you, your first instinct is to say, get off me. And so Odette, she decided at 15. As a matter of fact, I wrote down a statement she made. She said, I could not move. History had me glued to the seat. Because at 15, she was in school. She was learning about civil rights, Dr. Martin Luther King, X, all of those people. And she figured, what? I am not going to move. I've been hearing too much about these people not to stand my ground. Isn't that amazing? And she did. She did. 3 minutes and counting to keeping you in the know with news, happenings, and facts coming up at 6 o'clock. And I'm inviting everyone to call in this afternoon. I'll be streaming on the Facebook Live, Lady D. You'll see me there. And you can log on and be a part of the discussion, those of you who will be logging on via that medium. If you'll be listening to the show, I invite you to call 600-4228, 914-202-4934. That's 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. Music for you. Redemption Song by Bob Marley. Black History Month. What is your take?
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from Lisbeth, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets? One aside and look. Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause ever redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. No fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs. All I ever, redemption songs.
A place of beauty,
these songs of freedom.
You will be
songs of freedom.
Yep. Good afternoon.
Hello, Lady D. Good afternoon to you and all the listeners. How are you?
Wow, when Chris coming in, he comes in with a voice there that makes you feel as though he's ready to go. Good.
I am always ready to go. I am born ready.
You're born ready. All right. I'm sure when Mom was giving birth, they say, hold him, hold him.
I am a little bit under the weather this evening, but I'm still trying to.
All right, I got you,
Yes,
got you. But I'm thankful that you called in, and we're gonna be talking this evening. I just played 2 clips. One that I did with Miss Covington. She actually, Claudette Colvin rather, and she was the one who 9 months prior to Rosa Parks's yes, Claudette decided that at 15
Claudette
years
Colvin.
yes, that she's not getting up and all of that good
Yes.
stuff. And then I also played one on Elizabeth Jennings. Yes, Elizabeth, she also was very instrumental, and she also did her thing prior to Rosa. So there were people who paved the way. But before we get into all of that, as always, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's now time for keeping you in the know with and facts here on Inside the Zone with Lady D. Chris Wilby is joining me this evening, and we will be talking from what time? Now until 7 o'clock. And when we're talking, it's good, intelligent talking, right? Chris, you ever
Oh
hear
yeah,
that?
oh yeah,
Good, good
absolutely.
in talking. So I'd like to welcome everybody. And as always, this is how I start the segment off, keeping you in the know. 4 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to Keeping You in the Know with news, happenings, and facts. Right here on Linkage Radio, ladies and gentlemen, 104.5 FM and 101.7 FM. It's Black History Month. How you feel about being black?
Oh, I am black. I am proud. Proud to be black. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yes, if you well, we talk about
I
can't do anything about it again.
Let's put it this way: I am who I am. Mm-hmm. I was born this way, and I am proud to be who I am.
And I could also ask, born to your parents, well, not your parents, to parents who were from another country. Have that ever crossed your mind?
I can't remember that it has,
I have. I said to myself, I wonder if I were Chinese or if I were an Indian. What would my life have been like? Yes.
I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know if I can't recall ever really thinking like that. Okay. I've always just. I remember in the early days when I was growing up in the country and stuff like that. I wanted to be from a richer family.
Okay.
I was thinking what it would be like to be born in a richer family, but not necessarily from a different country. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
So we have thought, or both our thoughts had strayed at some point in time.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course. Welcome to Keeping You in the Know, brought to you by Ferguson Wright LLC, Donna Ferguson, tax preparation, bookkeeping, mastermind group sessions, but tax preparation. Are your receipts in order? I don't know. Are you trying to figure out how am I going to guess? I can't find that. Well, guess what? Donna Ferguson Wright of Ferguson Wright LLC, she's most capable and she'll be able to assist you with that. Don't worry. Give her a call, 732-734-1829. 732-734-1829. Welcome, Lady D. I'm collaborating. No, we're not collaborating. We are collaborating, Chris and I. Chris, you're hearing me. Chris Wilby is my party on a Monday.
Partner in crime.
Right, and we've been talking for it's about over a year. And it's my pleasure having him here. 8 minutes after 6 o'clock. For those of you who are watching live via Facebook Live, I invite you to share it with your people. Connect with someone in your network. Have them join in, be a part of the discussion. The telephone numbers are posted right there for you. 228-914-2024-934. Good afternoon, Rick. Ricky. I can see everybody. I'm working with two gadgets here, so I see you when you come. Hi, Aloma. Welcome, everybody. Black History Month. I'm black, proud to be black. Hello. I invite Chris to make his presentation first, and we'll start talking, and we'll be talking about these two women who paved the way for Rosa Parks. Yes. Claudette Colvin. Yes. So we'll
as you said, you already played the clip
I did.
of who Claudette Colvin
Yes.
was. So I guess they already know who that person is.
Yes.
But a lot of people do not really know that was before Rosa Parks. Claudette Colvin was the first person. I wouldn't even say she was the first person, you know.
No.
I would say that she was a leader. She was before Rosa Parks, because people used to do it on a regular basis. And a lot of people believe that Rosa Parks was the pioneer in this person, as if she just came up one day and decided that, hey, listen, I am not going to get up and give. Back in the day, this was a regular occurrence, and what used to happen was people would be given a charge or a ticket, and they just go on their merry way, you know. But before, Claudette Colvin was determined to not give her seat up. And the civil rights leaders at that time thought more or less that, hey, listen, cannot have her as the face of the civil rights movement, mainly because, according to them, she did not fit the profile, she did not fit the image of who they were looking for to be the face of the civil rights movement. Number two, she was black. Number three, she was too young, and according to them, inexperienced. Rosa Parks, on the other hand, was groomed for this. A lot of people don't know that she was groomed. They wanted Rosa Parks to be the face because she was from an upper middle class society. She was of a lighter complexion, and she was older, you know, so she encouraged her to be the face of, and so that is how the whole thing came together, and now we see Rosa Parks as this icon, and we celebrate her as the first person. But in fact, Claudette Colvin.
Earlier, I played a clip, 16 minutes and 2 seconds clip of Democracy Now!, an interview that they conducted with Claudette back in 2013. She was 73 at the time. And I had to make a response to one of the interviewers. She says, they asked her, you know, what is it that at 15 caused you not to want to get up and give somebody a seat? She said, for one, the person who they wanted, the white woman they wanted to give the seat to, was not a number one. Two, she says, I could not move. History had me glued to the seat.
Yes, I remember that quote. History had me glued to the seat.
Yes, because she was learning at that time about Martin Luther King. She was learning about all these civil rights activists. It resonated with her. And so here she is in this position, and she had to go back to her learning, what she was learning. You know, and say, I'm not gonna stand up. I've seen all these people doing these things. For me, at 15, what question should we pose to our audience this evening? Is it just about our skin tone or the color of our skin that makes us feel black? You know, is it just skin color? Or
I would want to ask the question, how far have we come since those people sat down? We would want to believe that we have come and we have in a lot of respects we have, but there are still certain things that are still lagging behind that we need to address today. And so that's a question that I would want to pose, how much further are we supposed to go, and examples of where we need to go.
And likened to Claudette at 15 years old, who made that decision because she had that her people were being oppressed. She knew that. She saw it with her parents. And the interviewers also asked her, if you did this at 15 prior to Rosa Parks, the same thing, why were you not lauded for it? In other words, why didn't it go anywhere? She said she didn't know. Her parents never said anything. It was just a one-off, and that was it. We don't know if they were paid off. We don't know anything. They should know that. But something must have happened why it didn't go anywhere else.
Right.
And why is it that it's Rosa that maybe because she was older, she was more vocal? What was it? We don't know.
They saw Rosa as probably the face that they were looking for to represent the civil rights movement. So they just didn't want Claudette to be that face because she was. So
absolutely. Welcome, ladies.
I think it was just politics on a whole
at the time.
Yes.
17 minutes after 6 o'clock. Join in our discussion this evening. 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. That's 914-600-4934. It's Black History Month, ladies and gentlemen, and we're talking about, here's this 15-year-old who decided in 1955 not to give up her seat to a white person who she says was not an old person. So why can't she get the seat? But that aside, we want to put it in context here. Present day, we have had several demonstrations. We've seen police brutality. We know that in some instances they have done things that they should not do. And while you have that in its own context, you do have other people who are advocating for black people still to this day. And, even making noise, your cause not going anywhere, you need to stop now. Because when people are not affected, you're not affected by it. So why is the cry? What? You need to be quiet. But they are going through challenges in this country.
Yes.
Their hands are literally tied. They can't do anything. What is it about Black History Month? Many people have crossed it off the calendar. They tell you, we're on the people are not talking black once a year. They are living the life of black people in poverty. They can't find housing.
Yes.
There is an issue about having multiple children, and how are you leashing? Black History Month comes a whole lot of other social issues that many people are confronting and many people just brush aside. So we want to engage you in conversation this evening. Give us a call, 19 minutes after 6 o'clock. You know when Chris Wilby and yours truly, Chris Wilby's online. I'm in studio. Give us a call here, 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. All right, Chris, let's jump the gun. I saw in the ladies and gentlemen too, you calling us and discussing about your take on Black History Month and the fact that a 15-year-old stood up in 1955, Claudette Colvin, and said, "I'm not giving up my
Lady,
seat."
before we skip over, see, let me just read for the audience a little bit. Colvin was among the 4 plaintiffs originally included in the federal court case filed by civil rights attorney Fred Gray on February 1, 1956, as a Brother V. Gale. And she testified before the 3-judge panel that heard the case in 1956. The judges determined that the state and local laws requiring bus segregation in Alabama were unconstitutional. The case went to the United States Supreme Court, which upheld their ruling on December 17, 1956. Colvin later Supreme Court issued an order to Montgomery and the state of Alabama to end bus segregation, and the Montgomery bus boycott was called off. For many years, Montgomery's black leaders did not publicize Colvin's pioneering effort because she was a teen married man. However, she actually did not become pregnant until later.
Right.
Colvin said, "Young people think Rosa Parks just sat down on a bus and ended segregation, but that wasn't the case at all."
That's right. And
so that sums it up.
It's interesting, they brought up about her pregnant. Because
Yes.
then here you would have young teenager pregnant and, causing a ruckus or something.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
would have tied that into it. As I think of Black History Month, my former police officer of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, who in 1976, while he was on duty, he was shot in the head. Apparently it was a setup, and when he went to in the shop, somebody just came up right behind him, held the pistol at his head and shot him. He didn't die, he survived. And that was in 1976. The news, however, about him, so, members of the commissioner, as a matter of fact, acting assistant commissioner of police, Steve McGregor, and his entourage went to visit him. And apparently, he can't move. He's on his back.
Yeah.
24/7. They went, they looked for him, they brought, basic staples for him and so on. But it's almost like this man was nobody in the force, other than him going to the hospital and going through, the recovery phase, which is not really full recovery. But since 1976 to 2018, resurfaced because somebody reached out and told them about him. I wondered to myself, it became evident to me that the Jamaica Constabulary Force no kind of rehabilitative programs, or I get it. I'm from Jamaica. I understand. Before I finish my sentence, because I don't want nobody listening to go think that I'm not connected. I'm just wondering, how can somebody who suffered such a trauma out of the Jamaica Constabulary Force not be paid any attention for so many years?
For so many years, yeah.
And then it's a by the way, and they ended up going to visit him and brought food. Now, I believe I read the article, the news in its entirety. I did not see where as a matter of fact, let me rephrase that and get my mic positioned properly here. I'll paraphrase it to the best of my ability in keeping with the headline.
Yes.
But I can read a paragraph here, which is a quote from Mr. McGregor himself. He says, "What is very disturbing is that the pension that he's receiving is just talking 1,000 Jamaican dollars. And you see the state that the place is in, because the accommodation is just bad. The picture alone tells you when you see it."
Yes.
He says, "We made some quick initiative and brought some things. We brought radio and we come back. We will be engaging in a more permanent way with Food for the Poor to get a proper house for him and furniture. I intend to engage the Member of Parliament to see if I can get him on the PATH program of advanced to get a better remuneration. We will be staying close to him." That's what he says. In the same breath, Superintendent of Police Velma Thomas Gale, who is also from the JCF Safety and Security Branch, said, and I quote, "It means a lot to us as he's one of us, and he has been mentioned about him." And ACP Steve McGregor and the team of us from Kingston decided to come over because the safety team in Portland has initiated it, and we decided to come over and see what is happening. We reached out, food items that we and so on and so forth. So now they're going to get him situated, I guess, to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Isn't
it's
this
it's kind of sad. It's
sad?
a sad story. You know, what the accounting and accountability and whatever they use to record these things and keep in touch with these persons.
Right.
But I would assume that this is not really the case today. So I'm hoping that this is that we don't have more of these people languishing in the wilderness. You know. So yeah, I saw the story. I to be honest with you, I did not go in depth. You know, I was browsing today and I saw it. I read a portion of it. You know, I didn't have time to go through the entire story. But you know, and we don't have a lot of ex-police and soldiers suffering without getting the proper help that they need. Especially people who were injured on
It is now 6:29 p.m. Good evening, everyone. Reminding you to give us a call, be a part of the discussion. 914-600-4228, 914-202-4934. Let's get the conversation going. What's your take on Black History Month? Claudette Colby is not giving up her seat. What are some of our 15-year-olds doing today? Are they
exactly
just, are they smart enough? What do you think?
And how far we have come? I would ask the question because I'm still asking the question. How far have racism in America today? How do you view racism in America today?
Well, my typical response would be a personal encounter. I've not had that encounter, but this past Thursday, I went to a function at one of those high-end catering halls here in the Bronx. I did not want to leave my coat. It's a nice coat. And I left my coat. I got a little sticky thing, my little ticket, which says, of course, you have a coat here. At the end of the function, I went to collect my coat from the same woman, a senior, took my coat. Now, I know she has been dealing with tons of people all evening, right? All evening.
Yes.
So here I am, legitimately with my ticket. I observed prior to me going up to her, she was dealing with some body bag. Oh yes, it's a whatever bag. And oh, what's your coat? So I'm looking at this thing here now. I'm like, so I went up. She went, I handed her my thing. She went, she picked out my coat. She looked at the coat, you know. I said, it's my coat. May I have my coat? You want to tell me what's written inside of it? So
you've got to be
I'm not
kidding me.
joking. So I'm looking at this woman wanting to say, you know, you have to put it in. So I'm not there now to go lose myself over the coat. I could have, but I opted not to. So I said, excuse me. I said, I came here, I handed in my coat, and I got this back. May I have my coat, please? There's a name on my coat. Do you know the name? I'm like, no, the coat was given to me as a gift, because by now, I'm beside myself. Because there are other people waiting to get their coats as well. So I said, well, it was a gift. May I have my coat back? And I'm not lying.
Lord have mercy.
A good 3 minutes. I'm taking up space, having a conversation, a ridiculous conversation over a coat. So I said, I know who gave it to me. You need her name. Then she with her...
How is that going to
So tell me now.
help her?
So here we are. I guess she's looking at me and saying, oh, how come you
can't afford
yes,
you can't
how
afford
you
that coat.
own this coat?
Yes.
So
oh my
you
God.
know, I had to say, ma'am, I need to go. And so, oh, you have to understand. I said, no, I don't understand. You have to understand. You know, I need to know I'm handing over the right coat. I said, did I go inside and pick up the ticket? As if somebody dropped their ticket and I picked it up. It comes all different ways, several different ways. It's the passive aggressive. It's the very arrogant.
Yes.
It's brutish. It's brutal. I'm telling you, it is out there.
Yeah. And personally, I cannot say that I have experienced it firsthand. I mean, yeah, people may have slightly done some things, whatever, you know, and maybe because I'm not really some of it. You know what I mean? Because it has not been pushed in my face like that per se, you know. And I will, if one of the things I always say to people, not everything is.
Hold on.
You know what I mean?
Hold on. Good afternoon. Welcome to Keeping You in the Know. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Oh, I'm listening.
Yes.
Hi, Chris. It's Paul.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Let me just turn this stupid thing off because it's echoing.
Yes, it is. I was about to ask you to turn your...
Today?
Yes.
There's a disconnect because somewhere along the line the baton was dropped, and these kids simply do not know, do not care, or recognize what racism is. You know what I mean? Family moved here years ago. I was educated in Canada. I can remember my teacher. I was the only black kid in the class. I can remember the teacher teaching that in history, or I think it was history, that black people, the sun, has caused damage to their brains, so that's why white people have to look after them. This is in front of in a class.
Yes.
And this was back in 1969, 70. Right? That don't know what that is because it's not there, but there's a disconnect. Okay, and when I speak to my kids are 27, 29, and 32. When I speak to them about that, they don't want to hear it. A small city west of Toronto, so it's mostly like a farming community, and so it's there, but it's just like like water off of a duck's back for them. Yeah, but I still see it because I had a white guy from Barbados. I played soccer with these guys. I had a white guy from Barbados. After the game, we finished playing, came up to me and said, "Why can't we call you the N-word when you guys use it?" Why would you want to do that? Well, I'm from Barbados. I grew up with a lot of black people. I said, does that give you the right to do it? Does that make it any different? I've got a lot of black friends. And that's always the excuse. He's got that black friend. Right? I know a black guy down the street. These young kids, I work in justice as well. And I see these young kids that the parents sacrifice to get them to this country.
Yes.
And they end up in jail. Because they simply do not recognize this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They don't really have any pride. It's gone.
Yes.
And that's what the problem is today.
Yes.
Yes, Paul. I appreciate it. I can't imagine. I appreciate your input. You having to sit in a class with white children and hearing you being defined like that.
Well, yeah, because all the kids turn around to face me.
Of course.
Right? To look at me. And I was treated differently after that. And I can go to the principal's office. So that was recent. It's something else that I never noticed until later on, right? I'd have lots of friends inside the school, but once I go outside the building, they wouldn't walk on the same side of the street. They'd walk on a different side.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Oh. And I didn't recognize it till well after, maybe about 18, last year's school. And I said to one of the guys, like, how come you guys never walk in the same side of the street as me?
Oh my goodness. No.
Right?
No.
Would drive by, different cruisers, and if you keep track of the numbers, you see the same cruisers coming by, circling the block. And lots of time, what they do is pick me up, put me in the back of the cruiser, and say, "You look like a guy that robbed a store up the street." Everyone can see it.
Oh no.
So overt racism, people say, "Oh, there's no racism in Canada." No, can't be.
Excuse me.
It's covert racism. It's not like this, the same as you see in the in Nova Scotia, right? Been here since slavery, and I found to a guy the other day. He says to me, I said, "My son's Canadian." He says, "No, there's no black Canadians. There's no such a thing." It's education. There's a lack of education.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm just,
I appreciate
thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
That's interesting.
Around. It's just that, as I said before, we may not be faced on a daily basis because it's just okay. A lot of these used to happen back then, but then kind of suppress their feelings, and it hasn't been until recently that a lot of people are now over in the closet, so to speak, and now they feel as if they are emboldened, so they can come out and say things because they aren't going to be seen in a negative light. Some of them feel as if it is a good thing that they are doing, that coming out, but all the institutional racism that I believe is more of a threat than anything else to black people, because a white guy shouting and yelling at me and saying in the prison population is predominantly black, and you find that the judges are more, they are quicker to send a black person to prison for the same crime. That needs to be reformed because they are in the system and they need to be rooted out. So I am more worried about that. You know, as we're talking about that, I was talking to my daughter the other day. My daughter, you are going to come across people who are going to say negative things about you.
Right.
However, don't you dare believe for 1 minute that you are less than them. And number one, you have an opportunity to be here because of racism in the country. You cannot move forward. You cannot be what you want to be. You have the same opportunity that they have. All you have to do is make sure that you go to school and you get a good. And these are the things that we have to teach our children. You know, we have to beat it into them that, listen, you are no less than the white person. Because if you get the grades that you ought to get, you further than they are going. There is absolutely nothing to stop you.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if parents today are really talking to their children about their history. To bring them into the know, teach them about history. They themselves have not given their children, some parents, you know, the bits and pieces that they have experienced, that they are aware of.
You are, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
and don't be browbeated, and don't, because it is inevitably it is going to happen.
Yes.
I mean, it is just what it is. We live in a mean society where people can be very. You move right along. You let it run off your back like water running off a duck, and don't let it bother you. You know who you are. And you know what you are about. As long as you know who you are, you know what you are about, whatever they say to you. I program myself, because they can be as nasty and mean as much as they want to. They are just showing who they are by doing and saying those nasty things. It does not reflect who I am.
Absolutely. Refused giving up her seat on a Montgomery bus back in 1955, 15 years old. And we just had a brief discussion with Paul, calling from Canada, who just opened up in the class. And what the teacher said. Oh my God. But anyway, Black History Month, we still have a lot of
back to
positive things.
to the segregation schools. Of Paul's age in the United States who are living right now, who can tell you lots of stories similar to what he went through. And back in those days, it was the norm. Different schools, you know, it was, you know, just hearing about or reading about some of these stories, you know, it makes you wonder what it would have been like living back in those.
Because, you know, there are people who you just can't step into their space. Hold on, don't hang up. Hold the line, please. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. How are you?
I am blessed. Good evening, Lady D. Good evening. Young man that called from Canada. Very, very interesting.
Yes.
But, you know, I must agree with you, Chris. Institutionalized slavery is very dangerous. And the case that really, you know, brought light to me is important case. And so we must realize we cannot just sit back and take our education for granted anymore because, you know, folks fought back in those days to enable us to where we are next on the chopping block in order for us to be where we are today. So we must be mindful of the fact, yes, that institutionalized racism and prejudice is very, very dangerous because
absolutely.
Feel that it's the norm and it should continue. But I got news for them because, you know, how much longer can, you know, folks sit back and allow the system to rape them of their civil rights? It's a great big pie. It's a little slice for each and every one of us, especially if we are immigrants. We are immigrants. This country is built on immigration. The White House was built by have made contributions. Africans have made contributions. So let us continue to uphold the banner and just live right and do right and be an example so they can see the stuff that we're made out of.
Is a country of immigrants. And when people say that, a lot of people don't want to, a lot of white people, let me say that, do not want to accept that, you know. But
Yes, of course.
You know what I mean? Their parents came here from somewhere, you know, whether they whether they came here from Europe or wherever they came from. You know what I mean? But the fact is that they came to this country and imagine 10, 30, 40 years from now, they start calling other people who come here immigrants and say they are to go back where they came from. Think about that.
I know.
And that is exactly what is happening today. Go back where they came from.
Go back where they
and that
came
is just, I mean, because I thought about my own situation. Right now in this country, I have children and grandchildren in this country today. And I am saying, think about this from next were born here.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Entitlement. Yes. I mean, the Europeans, they came here with a luggage. Black folks were chained up, bought on a ship illegally. They didn't want to come.
Yeah, hold the line. All right, I'm gonna Patricia. I'm gonna grab a call, Patricia.
Okay, well,
all right, God bless, Patricia. Thank you.
Nice chatting. You're welcome. Bye bye.
Okay, hold the line, Chris.
Good afternoon, Eddie. How you doing?
I'm in my crib enjoying life.
Okay.
Good.
Lady D.
Sir.
A lot of black people are racist also to their own color.
That's because
And you are black against black also.
yes, that we know.
You have some black people who marry to their color. They want. That is why they bleach. You know?
Well, Eddie. Which
That is why we all bleach, Lady D.
No,
I
no.
bleach.
She ended up with the person she's with is because her mother told her that she didn't want no bumpy head grand picnic.
Right.
So
Right.
she ended up marrying someone who had straight.
The self-hatred is something that was taught, and
I know
it
they're
is.
gonna curse me. I'm gonna say something, and I don't care who curse me. Most of these things comes from the Bible because you never see a black Jesus Christ yet. Because Jesus, I think, is from Africa, mostly black people area.
Eddie, somebody
You
says.
understand? Bethlehem is in Africa.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. All right, Ed. Segment. Let me do a quick roll call. We were having our discussion, and I did not get a chance to say hello to those of you who were with me prior to now and all that. But good evening to DM. Also to Chiny Chin. Oh, Chiny Chin Mealy. You know what Chiny told me that if it was if she was in my position with the woman and the coat. Senior, Lamar Francis, and who else we had? We had some more people, so I have to scroll. Hello. Thank you so much for, sticking and staying, joining me. We will be doing this again next week.
Oh, yes, definitely. It was a pleasure as usual, Lady D. And as we go forward in Black History Month, let us all take some time over our history and see those who have fought for our freedom and the freedom that we have taken so much for granted.
Right.
And let us think about means and ways.
Also taking some, uplifting stuff. Got one more call to go. Let's see. Hold the line. I gotta go though. Hold on. Good afternoon.
The history. People gonna give their life for this country. Respect them. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, Eddie.
All right, Eddie.
Thanks. All right, so thank you, Chris. We'll talk again next week. With Lady D, Linkage Radio, 104.5 FM, 101.7 FM. Thank you so much. The show brought to you by Ferguson Wright LLC, tax preparation, bookkeeping, mastermind group sessions, independent, certified job. As always, ladies and gentlemen, love yourselves, love your children, and remember in everything you do, it is the will of God concerning your life. Blessings to you. I'll be back on Thursday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am out of here.
What to think? Because now with us, you're fully linked. Stay linked to Linkage Radio, your home for entertainment.
This station rules the nation.
used to go to Citywide Laundromat and she changed and go to one of them bigger laundromat. But now she gone back at Citywide Laundromat, located at 277 East 3rd Street in Mount Vernon. I mean, I tell the people, the pants them start. Them start to up shape, my clothes them start look good. Since she started go back to Citywide.